Good morning. Thank you for being here to help us celebrate the life of Bob Smith. For those of you who are new here, as we say in our family, I am Lynn, Bob Smith's oldest child. Marge, Amy, Corey, Chris, Bix, and I are very grateful for your presence here today. So what to say about Bob? To begin with, Dad grew up on Shelter Island, New York, a small island only accessible by ferry boat. Graham Pop and his three siblings, Bert, Dot, and the baby, Peg, comprised the family. Money was tight, but as islanders of that age often say, we were poor, but we didn't know it because so was everyone else. The family scalloped for cash, and Dad often talked about scallops being poor kids' food. I love the story he told about how he made his mom make him 2 scallop sandwiches so he could trade one for bologna at school. He was raised in a time and place where everyone believed in the necessity of hard work and that pushing uphill was the only way to thrive. I think that shaped him into an ambitious person in many ways, finding his way to college, the success of his career, building the insurance agency, and then bringing that acumen to farming was all accomplished by sheer force of will. It must have taken a great deal of courage for him to leave the small island he grew up on and go to Manhattan. He and my mother, June, were small-town kids soaking up the Big Apple. After their divorce, he met Marge, also from a small town, with will and courage to make it in New York. Dad and Marge made lovely homes, first in Levittown on Long Island and then in Northport, before setting up farming back in Nebraska near Marge's hometown. That move has always stood out to me as being incredibly, incredibly brave. Selling everything you have and picking up your family to do an unfamiliar thing. Whenever I've been scared to do something, I always think of that. After almost 25 years of farming, becoming a relaxed, retired Floridian was a gradual metamorphosis, but I saw how good it was for him. It seems he made his decision that life was good and was to be enjoyed. Dad had shifted from pure drive to a solid position of gratitude. Gratitude for the place life and the Lord had landed him. I know he was happy in his life and valued his family and friends greatly. He was unequivocally grateful for Marge, and if he ever acted otherwise, he was promptly reminded by all of us that he was lucky that she put up with him at all, to which he would readily capitulate and sigh, I know. For further insight into Dad, we might review some of his nicknames. Rockin' Robert, or Boppin' Bob, being the guy who loved the dance floor at a wedding. Smitty, being the Mad Men-esque bachelor on the town with our Uncle Marco back in the day. Bobby, to his siblings, and to the cousins on Shelter Island who could see his house from across the farms on Shelter Island. Cactus Bob, for the man who thought it was a great idea to slay a spiky plant in the garden with no shirt on, and paid the consequences both in injury to his person and to his pride. Uncle Bob, to my cousins, some of whom were sent to the farm from the city to learn about hard physical labor. Dad from us, and sometimes from me, Daddy. What else to say about Bob? Just a good person, sometimes grumpy, but just as often lighthearted and fun. A dependable man who kept his word, who showed up for his community, his family, and his friends. His love of golf, boating, and travel kept him younger than his years for a very long time. And a big shout out here to those of you who were a boat buddy, a golf buddy, or a travel buddy. You made life much more fun for him. He was dependable and also predictable. When I was little, I was at Marge and Dad's house on Shelter Island, or at Shelter Island every single weekend, without fail. There was structure to our family life, and having time with Chris and Amy when they were small really bonded us. You could count on Sunday church services and Dad waiting impatiently in the car, both on the trip there and on the trip home. You could count on Sunday football games from the vantage point of Dad's white leather recliner, beer in hand. Throughout their marriage, if Marge went out of town for any reason, he made himself the same thing for dinner, hash and eggs, which he claimed was the only thing he knew how to make. You could count on a scotch at 5 and please, oh please, dinner before 7. He was good for a box of candy for his bride on Valentine's Day, and one never need wonder where he stood and how long you had to wait after dinner to serve dessert. But Dad was not simply a creature of habit. He was a caring, dependable person, and he was there for us always. And you can depend on this. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, and in that place, at 5 o'clock, on the nose, they're just a doers on the rocks waiting. I hope you'll all raise a glass to him tonight and keep us in your prayers, as we will miss him greatly. We were very lucky to have him. Thank you.